Welcome into New York Giants Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Marshall Green. In today's show, we're talking about Saquon Barkley, the running back for Big Blue, because according to ESPN, $14 million is a deal of average annual value that Saquon Barkley and maybe even the New York Giants would be willing to compromise for. Barkley said he didn't want to reset the running back market, but he also turned down a contract during the bye week this season of $12 million annually. In today's show, we're going to show you the highest paid running backs in the NFL right now. I'm going to make a case for and against signing and extending Saquon Barkley at $14 million. We got some in-depth stats. It's going to be a big show. It's going to be a lot of fun as well. Jordan Renan of ESPN, who covers the Giants, put out this article the other day, and this is what he had to say about Saquon Barkley. He reported that Barkley, who just turned 26 a couple of days ago, has already made it clear that he's not intent on resetting the running back market. The belief is if the two sides meet at $14 million per year, a deal could get done, a source close to the negotiations told ESPN recently. And my first reaction after reading that quote in that article was $14 million a year for a running back that's 26 years old is a lot. And it's definitely a lot for a running back that outside of this season, he's missed a lot of time in the National Football League. But look, Saquon Barkley was absolutely electric this year for the G-Men. This is a guy that really carried this offense through the first half of the season. They started as a heavy personnel offense. They would run the football. But then as the year went on, they kind of just started to go away from that run game and leaned more on Daniel Jones. Saquon, his stats this year, look, if you put up this type of season, yeah, you're going to want to secure the bag. Almost 300 carries, a lot of usage, over 1,300 yards, 12 touchdowns, 4.4 yards per carry. It was even a factor in the receiving game, 57 carries for 338 yards. Saquon was great. There was nothing more any Giants fan, Giants personnel member, Brian Dable, Mike Kafka, or even Saquon Barkley could have asked for what he did this season. I was just hoping he would be healthy and break 1,000 yards. He did both that, played every game and over 1,300. He was also solid, I would say, in the playoffs. Really wasn't used all that much. Both games, he had just 9 carries. I thought he set the tone, though, in that Minnesota Vikings game. Had that first touchdown run on the first drive of the game. Had a couple more runs early on. I remember the double spin move run very, very vividly. He was good. He set the tone, had 2 rushing touchdowns, 6.3 yards per carry, 7 receptions, 77 yards. He was good. I wouldn't say he was great, though, in the playoffs, but he was good. No doubt about it, and he definitely made Daniel Jones better, and he makes this team better. You cannot say that Saquon Barkley doesn't make this team better, but it comes at a cost, and right now, $14 million is a lot of money for Saquon Barkley, and it's a big decision. It's going to be the biggest decision in Joe Shane's tenure so far with Big Blue. We're going to continue to break this down. I'll give you my opinion for it and against it. But first, I want to ask this question and get the audience involved in the comment section because I value your guys' opinion. I love to go down, read the comment section. You guys educate me. So let me know. Would you pay Saquon Barkley $14 million per year? That would make him the 3rd highest paid running back in the National Football League behind Christian McCaffrey and Alvin Kamara, Zeke as well, but he's about to get cut. So would you pay Saquon $14 million per? Why for yes and for no? And look, make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel because when Saquon Barkley signs that deal, Saquon Barkley gets traded, or he signs somewhere else in free agency, or he's franchise tagged, we're going to get you guys a video as soon as possible, and we're probably going live on the channel. So hit that big red sub button. We put out videos on the latest New York Giants news and rumors every single day. And I'd say we're pretty damn cool. So hit that sub button. Help us get to 25K. When you look at the rest of what the NFL is making at the running back position, you got Christian McCaffrey at $16 million per year. And I think if you ask any Carolina Panther fan before McCaffrey was traded to the Niners, that contract just did not work out. He was hurt, and the cost didn't meet the production. He was very productive for the Niners, and it worked out for them. Alvin Kamara hasn't had a 1,000-yard rushing season in quite some time. And, look, the Saints have been pretty bad the past 2 years. I don't think it's worked out for them. Ezekiel Elliott is about to get cut, and him making that type of money forced them to trade a guy like Amari Cooper. It forced them to not go all in on other free agents. Dalvin Cook, our Minnesota Vikings host here at Chat Sports, Patrick Seatman, you guys know him. He thinks he's going to get cut. Derrick Henry, I would say the contract has worked. He's pretty much a huge part of that team. He's the lifeline and the heartbeat of that offense. So I think that contract worked. I think the Nick Chubb contract has also worked for the Cleveland Browns. And look, you can pay a running back $12.2 million and afford Deshaun Watson and Amari Cooper and Njoku and an expensive offensive line and Myles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney as well as Denzel Ward. They have a lot of high-priced players on that team, and Nick Chubb makes some good money. Aaron Jones is a good player, but it's kind of hindered as well as the $50 million cap hit Aaron Rodgers has. Joe Mixon is about to be cut by the Cincinnati Bengals. So I show you that graphic to say that some have worked, some haven't, but most of them have not worked. But I think this next graphic is really, really telling. From the years 2009 to 2022, these are the Super Bowl winning teams' leading rusher plus base salary. You got Isaiah Pacheco in 2022 with the Chiefs, made less than $1 million as a seventh-round pick. Cam Akers, 2021, he made less than $900,000. Leonard Fournette, he made $2 million for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but $2 million ain't $14 million. Damian Williams, $1 million. No one on this list has made more than $2.5 million. Y'all see guys, let's see like guys like Sony Michel, LeGarrette Blount, C.J. Anderson, like Percy Harvin, Ray Rice, shout out to Ahmad Bradshaw. Like, you don't need, and not saying you can't win with an expensive running back, an elite guy at that position, but the data shows you that it's really not all that necessary. And I want to get this off my chest as well. Paying a running back a second contract of a lot of money is a major commitment, but it's also a major risk. Running backs have a short shelf life. We know this. And Saquon Barkley's 26. After next season, he'll be 27. Can he be great at 26? Can he be great at 27, 28? Yeah, I think he can be. But if you give him a 5-year deal, is he going to be great at 30? I'm not going to bet against Saquon Barkley because I've seen him come back from some nasty injuries already. But it's a major commitment. You are committing a huge chunk of your salary cap dollars and salary cap space to a player that really, or a position more so, I don't want to say player, a position that, one, has shown in the Super Bowl, you don't need a great guy, you don't need one that makes a lot of money, and two, the lifespan of these guys is not all that high. I have some stats that are concerning for Saquon Barkley coming up in a second, but I do want to make it clear. I would re-sign Saquon Barkley. $14 million is just a little bit much for me. First, though, I want to tell you about today's sponsor, LinkedIn Jobs. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/NFL Daily. That link is in the comments and description of today's show. These days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. You want to be 100% certain that you have access to the best qualified candidates available. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the right people for your team faster and for free. It is super easy to post your job and for free on LinkedIn Jobs. You add your job, then the purple hashtag to the hiring frame to your LinkedIn profile to spread the word that you're hiring. They give you simple tools like screening questions, making it easy to focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience so you can quickly prioritize who you'd like to interview and more. It's why small business rates on LinkedIn Jobs are the #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for LinkedIn, or post your job for free at linkedin.com/NFL Daily. That's linkedin.com/NFL Daily to post your job for free. The link is in the comments and description of today's show. The link is also right here, also in the comments and description. Shout out to LinkedIn for sponsoring today's show. I want to touch on Saquon Barkley because I felt like it was really two different seasons for Saquon Barkley. He was electric in weeks 1 through 10, and he kind of got banged up in that Houston Texan game, had 30-plus carries, and he kind of just fell off a little bit. When you compare the stats from week 1 through 10 to the rest of the season, the first half of the season, he was a workhorse. 200 carries, almost 1,000 yards, 4.7 yards per pop, had 6 touchdowns, the same number he did in the rest of the season. But that long run, I felt like he was less explosive. I feel like he couldn't reach that top speed. Whereas in the first half of the season, first game of the season versus Tennessee Titans, he had that 68-yard run. In the last half of the season, he didn't have a run longer than 39 yards. And he only averaged 4.3 yards per carry. His workload went down and didn't even have 500 yards. Some advanced stats here that I think are a little bit concerning for Saquon Barkley. Weeks 1 through 10, he averaged 93.1 yards per game compared to 61.9 the rest of the season. He had 30 broken tackles in the first half, 11 in the second half. He had 23 runs that were longer than 10-plus yards in the first half, 12 in the second half. Same for 15-plus yard runs. Same for 30-plus yards runs. The explosiveness and just the playmaking ability, I thought, kind of slowed down. I thought he took what the defense gave him in the second half, but I felt like in the first half of the season, it seems like he'd go to the house anytime he got the rock. And I didn't get that feeling in the second half, and the numbers, they proved that. And also, I know I'm making every case not to sign him, but I think these are things Joe Schoen is talking about and thinking about. I think he's going to act on them. I think they are going to re-sign him, but I think that's why you don't want to pay him anything over $12 million. Saquon's durability is a concern for me, and it has to be for anybody out there. Let's look at the prior 4 seasons of Saquon Barkley's career. Not this season, not the 2022 season, but his first 4 years in the NFL, from 2018 to 2021. He came into the NFL, I could argue, I think he had one of the best seasons a rookie running back has ever had, and I could argue he was the best running back in the NFL that season. 261 carries, over 1,300 yards, 5 yards per touch, 11 touchdowns. Then he was solid in 2019 as well. You know, he was good, but he missed 3 games. Then in 2020, he only played in 2 games. And then in 2021, he just wasn't good. Like, that's just what it was with Saquon Barkley. He also missed 4 games that season. In 13 games, he had 2 touchdowns, and he averaged less than 4 yards per carry. And he averaged less than 2 yards per carry in that 2020 season, had that nasty game against the Steelers, then got hurt in the Bears the following week. So we have a player who showed you this year. He was better in the first half and the second half. We also have data out there that shows you that he's missed time in his career before. So I think, while I would re-sign him because I know how important he is in this team, a tag and trade has to be at least a thought or an option for Joe Schoen. Look, if you're going to commit to him, you are committing not just to Saquon Barkley, you're committing to a style of play and a certain type of roster construction. Look, if you tag him and trade him, sure. Or maybe you just franchise tag him. That could also be what happens, and that is at $10.1 million. I know Saquon's not going to like this franchise tag, but I think Saquon Barkley is the type that would play on the franchise tag. And it might be best case scenario for the Giants to franchise tag Saquon Barkley this year and franchise tag him next year. And then if he's good, then give him a contract, a short contract. But look, you're paying a guy right now potentially that outside of last season, the prior 2 seasons, he really wasn't all that good. I would re-sign him. I would. I would like for it to be about anywhere from 12 to 12 and a half, maybe 13 million. I know we're splitting hairs, 13, 14 million, but I really wouldn't like to go more than 12 million. What to do with Saquon Barkley? If you were Joe Schoen, what would you do? Would you re-sign him? Would you trade him? Or would you let him walk in free agency? Sound off. Type R in the comments for re-sign, T for trade, or L for let walk. I'd re-sign him. I would. It's what I would do. I think he earned it. I think he deserves it. You don't pay someone for what they did. You pay them for what they're going to do. Can I get Saquon Barkley for 3 years? I don't know, 40 million? What is that, 15 a year? That's 12 a year, 13? 13-ish? 3 for 40. I think that's a fair deal. That's what I would rock with. Not bad at math, but I do know ball. And you can chop it up with me about ball over on Twitter at @MarshallGreen_. Always down to chop it up with fans of the New York Football Giants. I'm also trying to get to 3,000 followers. I'm going to follow everybody back that follows me until I get there. We're less than 300 away. So if you love the Giants and you want to talk ball, give me a follow over on Twitter.